Hello everyone, I'm Colin Canet. I got all sorts of really great tips sent in by subscribers today, so let's get started. Now here's a tip sent in from Gary. Now Gary was using, I think he was using soda pop bottles, and I think the tops are a little bit bigger on them, and I believe they might even have a little bit bigger hole. I didn't have any of those, and I used water bottles, and you know what? I just tried it, and it works well. You can put all sorts of different screws, nuts and bolts. This is just some test stuff that I put in here to see how easy it is to get out, and it comes out very easily. I'm surprised. And even with a water bottle, you still have room to put it in there. And I just made a mock-up of 3 of them. You know what I really like about this? You can actually look through this plastic and see what's in there. So it's a great way to reuse these and get some good use out of them in the workshop. So that's a great idea. Thanks, Gary. This tip comes from Larry, and I got to meet Larry in one of the many Zoom meetings I've been doing with all the woodworking guilds recently. But Larry uses a bolt similar to this for adjustable feet on his workbench, and a carriage bolt, something like this with a domed head, would be perfect because you could use it as a foot, as an adjustable foot on your workbench. Easy to install and quick to adjust. Thanks, Larry. This tip was sent in by Rocco, and I really like this idea. What Rocco's suggesting is that you can put some wood underneath your square, which elevates it, and now you can use it as a squaring device. Now, Rocco used some really nice hardware on his. I don't have any the right size, so I just wanted to try it and see how well it worked. And you can see that when you recess the bolts in the bottom, and they don't need to be really tight, you can elevate it up so it's perfect when you're trying to line up things like when you're making boxes, for example. You've got a way of aligning them so that you get them absolutely square. Just a really good idea. But look, it's even more versatile because you can flip this thing over and use it if you're, for example, if you're doing picture frames. There's all sorts of things that you can do when you elevate your square up off the workbench. So great idea. Thanks, Rocco. Here's a tip sent in by Brian, and Brian is suggesting you can get some scrap wood that we've all got plenty of in our workshops. Use some T-nuts, drill proper holes along the top. Then you can use the T-nuts to hang ready rod. Now, I always have a selection of ready rod, and it's usually in a box along with a bunch of dowels. This is a great idea. I don't have a place to hang it quite yet, but I really like the idea because you just screw it into the T-nuts and it's already sorted for you. And what I really like, you could even mark on there what size thread it is or what size T-nut. So that's a really good idea. Thanks, Brian. I'm going to use that one myself. Here's a tip sent in by Tom. And Tom is suggesting rather than hammering the lids of cans back on, now I know you're supposed to put a rag on, but I don't always have a rag handy. And sometimes I just go ahead and do it. And I can't tell you how many times when I hammer it on that there's a little bit of stain or something there that flicks out and it hits the wall or it gets on my shirt. But Tom is saying, look, you can use one of these quick ready clamps and just squeeze the lid on, and I've tried it and it works good. But here's another reason why you want to do it. Some of these new European finishes, their cans are a little bit different than what we've used in North America. You can see the difference there, despite the fact that this one's rusty. You can see it's different. And when you get hammering on these, sometimes you can damage the lid so that it doesn't seal as well. And that's why one of these, using a clamp like this, a quick release clamp, is a much safer way of getting the lid on, of not getting material on you, and of not damaging that lid. So that's a very good tip. Thanks, Tom. This tip was sent in by Terry from Australia, and Terry basically wants to remind us that an oscillating or a multi-tool like this can do all sorts of interesting things in your workshop. You know, for jigs and things that you're putting together, there's all sorts of different blades, different widths of blades that you can get. You can even, if you don't have something, you can even grind it down from an old blade. But there's lots of things you can do with that. And I did do a full video on this, but it's always good to have a reminder for such a handy little tool like this. So thanks, Terry. Well, that concludes my video for today. Lots of really good tips there. And if you've got an idea, send it in to me. If I haven't already used it, I'll put it into an upcoming video. I'm Colin Cadet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching.